Welcome to the latest edition of FinTV Plus on FTSM. I'm your host, Sammy, along with my co-host, the controversial Eddie Chapel. Eddie,
How's it
how are we
going,
doing,
Sam?
Eddie?
Good, man. How are you?
We've been better. The Fins
Oh
Nation
yeah.
right now, we had better times for sure. It's been a long while, so the good times are here, but this is not, you guys are going to have to part like 2023 because, things, when you think you think it's going better, someone gets disappointed. The Dolphins last week. Let's talk first about the game was against the Ravens. That game was a long time ago. The Dolphins were given a fighting chance that the first half, but uh, the defense could not hold up. They so many chances by the offense to get into the end zone, field goal, missed field goal, whatever. Uh, Fourth down not completed. So I want to know your thoughts about the game basically was the end of Chris Greer. We're going to talk a bit in a bit a while about Chris Greer. But what are your thoughts first about the Ravens game, Eddie?
They had so many chances in that first half. Um, I don't remember the stat. How many times they were inside the 35? Like 6 times, and they ended up with 6 points. That they're a mistake waiting to happen. They are.
Yes.
They got rid
Yes.
of all their tough coaches, and now it's showing up on the field. That's why they got rid of Wes Welker. That's why they got rid of Sam Madison and Vic Fangio, because all them guys were too hard on the players. And now it's showing. Now the discipline's gone. Not that they were great at discipline, but this is the worst year I've ever seen. They just shoot themselves in the foot over and over.
Every single time, yes.
The defense did as good as it could. I think they got disheartened in the second half, and I don't blame them one bit.
Yeah, once the Ravens went down the field and during that first drive, the second half, the defense was like, yeah, whatever.
Not like the
was
offense is going to do anything. Why?
It's not that. Why would we do this? It is the end. The big. We're gonna have our special guest FinStanza, our friend FinStanza, Evan Posner here in a minute. But I want to know first your thoughts about after that game. I said it. I said it. I've heard people in the media, people on the radio saying it, but I think I said it last night, and I said it with I spoke with my friend, our friend Steve Haddett. I think the downfall of Chris Greer was Al Michaels, the prime crew, basically that shot of Dolphins fans walking away at the end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, the stands being empty. The only thing left on Hard Rock Stadium was Ravens fans, the paperbacks on the top of their heads, and then after all that, the camera just was right to Stephen Ross. And Stephen Ross is there basically, taking it in, he's the one responsible because he's the one who decided to run it back. So what are your thoughts, first of all, about my theory that basically that humiliation was what makes Stephen Ross say, no, I cannot keep doing this. And then your thoughts about the dismissal of the parting of ways with Chris Greer.
I've been parted ways
mutual
at work.
It's mutual.
Yes. Only on one side, but yes. They said that's the first time he didn't go down to the sideline. He actually left a game in forever. Even when they've been getting killed, he always goes down to the sideline with like 4 minutes left. Instead, he just left the game. I'm talking about Ross. Yes. So it might have had something to do with it. They said the only way he might make a change is if the fans started acting like they should. I mean, you're going to keep putting that kind of quality on the field, poor quality on the field. Don't show up. Don't buy the stuff. I mean, it's hard to do. People love the Dolphins, but it's hard not to care about the team. But I think that might have had a little bit to do with it. I think the biggest problem overall is actually him himself. And I was a big fan of Steve Ross, but the more I hear, the worse it gets about him. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not optimistic. I'm not pessimistic yet, but we'll see.
Stephen Ross, as a developer, no one can say anything wrong about it. The way he rebuilt the Hard Rock Stadium, the facilities are great. The Dolphins had a problem with the grass at Hard Rock Stadium. He decided to buy the company. That all the things are great, but the problem is that as an owner, as Ham owns owner, he's not up to par. And Tom Garfinkel, he's done great things with F1, with Hard Rock Stadium, everything. But I would say that as a president of the Dolphins, I like Garfinkel, but he's great at business, but he's been mediocre because the Dolphins need someone as a president of the Dolphins who also, has the finger on the pulse, that has to go to to Stephen Ross and say, this is not working. We need to make a change. But it's not happening. It's really frustrating because the Dolphins have done so many great things off the field, great things, but the product of the field is just bad.
I agree. Tom Garfinkel, he's great with the fans interaction. He's great for listening to what needs to be done for certain things, but he should not be in charge of what he's in charge of. They need somebody with some knowledge. I was reading some articles. They need somebody like Zach Thomas or Jason Taylor up in a position like that knows football, that's going to actually tell him what needs to be done, not what he wants to hear.
Yeah, something like John Lynch did for the 49ers and stuff. I get that, but
they tried with Dan Marino, but Marino
he quit like 40 hours.
How much work it was.
I really have to work. I'm out of here.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that's a little bit too much work for me.
Yeah, the great idea, bad implementation. Our special guest is here. Let's go to our special guest. Oh, let's go. See, buddy, you get your own intro.
Yeah. I deserve my own intro. After everything I've done, I deserve my own intro. I've been waiting for this all season. I'm so excited to be here. What's up, Eddie?
You're FinSTV Plus, but you'll be part of the FinSTV regular FinSTV on Tuesday before the seas's over. That's happening. You can count on that also.
Yeah, me and Steve might go. Yeah, me and your colleagues might go at it a little bit, though. You never know. By the way, Eddie, I don't know if you saw the postgame show last week. I think how many times did Sammy cover his screen before he lost it on me? Serenity now.
Serenity now, insanity later, for sure. Evan, we were talking first of all against the game against the Ravens. That was a mess. Basically, the defense quit in the second half, but the end result of that game, I don't know if we were listening, but that it was the dismissal of Stephen Ross. Yeah, I've been saying that that shot of Dolphins fans walking away from Hard Rock Stadium at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and the camera shot goes right to Stephen Ross, and I know people say Stephen Ross doesn't care, but those guys are competitive. That's your toy. The Dolphins is an asset, if you ask me. So I do believe that he doesn't want to lose to the Jets, to the Bills, to anybody, because that divided his value, and that's his toy. So it's not been fun for Stephen Ross. But I want to know your thoughts about finally the dismissal of Chris Greer after all these years.
I have the show. I joined George on Finn's Faithful podcast, which you join on a regular basis. In the afternoon after it, because I called Bobby, when the moment it happened, and I was screaming Bobby like 25 times until he figured out to look at his phone. I wouldn't tell him what was happening. And then at night we did like another 2 hours. I was on with like George for like 2 hours, and then I was on for another 2 hours at night with a group with everybody, with Bobby and everybody. And I was I'll put it to you this way: you ever are happy for everyone else? Like somebody gets like a promotion. Or someone gets wins a car, you only win like a bicycle. Like you're happy for them, and you're happy for them, but you're not happy for yourself, right? So that was me on Friday. Like I showed the happiness to everybody because people like Brett and people like Bobby and people like who really wanted Chris Greer gone, and Dahl and Steve Lloyd wanted Chris Greer gone. I was happy for them, but I wasn't. And in the back of my mind, I wasn't happy enough. Like I was happy for them, but I wasn't happy because for me, I was waiting for the next tweet. I was waiting for the next formal announcement. And then when I started seeing the announcements coming through that Mike McDaniel was staying, I actually had the same reaction I had when I read to everybody on the post-game show at the end of the season last year against the Jets, that when I was actually the one who read the Steve Ross statement that Mike McDaniel and then Chris Greer were coming back. So for me, what bothered me the most about Chris Greer being fired is it wasn't just him. and then Mike McDaniel might stay for at least this season. And like those kind of things really got to me because it basically said to me, the team isn't going to get better on the field this season, but you might still believe in this head coach. So for me, that was my frustration. So Chris Greer, 25 years with the team, 9 years as general manager, officially since 2018, but really since 2016 in theory. It was time for him to go because he's been very porous in the draft. He's been very nonchalant with the fan base in terms of how he engages and not really taking things seriously. Literally half before this year and last year, and almost not half of his, almost like 80% of his draft picks are not even on this football team anymore. And he's supposed to be the leader of this football team. So when Chris Greer was fired, I was happy for a couple of minutes. I was very happy for the people that really been pushing him to be gone. But but in theory, I was because it's not going to solve the overall problem. Because I've been saying for so long that this problem is made up of three things: a general manager who doesn't know how to find talent, a head coach who doesn't know how to adjust and get to his own way, and a quarterback who's become, since he got his contract, has become so arrogant and so demeaning to everyone, towards the fan base and towards everyone around him. He's so blinded by his own fame now that he can't perform on the field. So for me, until all three are gone, the team was never going to change to begin with. So happy Chris Gear's gone, but it doesn't solve the ultimate problem for the Miami Dolphins.
Absolutely. Eddie, what are your thoughts? About what Evan is saying, about FinStanza is saying about the Dolphins basically doing things again. Yes.
Didn't bother me. They didn't fire McDaniel yet. I think it could happen, especially if they get blown out and then go to Spain and lay an egg. But it doesn't. There's nobody on the staff I want to take over as a head coach. I don't want him to get a couple meaningless wins and then keep somebody. I don't know. My order is the problems with the Dolphins. Greer gone. Tua, I don't know if you can get rid of him. I mean, I know the Broncos got rid of Wilson, so there's got to be a way.
We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but yes.
And McDaniel and all the coaches, not just him. And then there's other things. There's scouts I would get rid of in the thing because they had to have people's ear because you're a scout. So they have to do a whole redo in that front office also. It's a lot to do, but it doesn't bother me yet. I understand what you're saying of it. You wanted the other thing. I did too, but as I thought about it, I was like, I don't care if he coaches the rest of the year. It doesn't do anything either way to me, as long as he's not the coach next year.
I think Evan, what Eddie's saying is a very valid point. It's not only removing McDaniel, it's basically removing the whole structure, because if you get rid of Greer, the scouting department, why is the guy you usually asking them to be fired? The strength conditioning coach.
Yeah. Oh, he needs to go.
The athletic trainer, maybe.
Yeah.
The strength conditioner training, because all this injury, we say that for
and it's
a
so
couple
funny
of years.
That they call it the Baptist Health Complex, and no one's very healthy in the Baptist Health Complex.
It gives them a bad name. Poor Baptist Health.
Poor Baptist Health. No health here. Facilities, but the people in there seem to slip on the tile while walking to the sauna.
That's a great idea. If Baptist Health want to sponsor the injury report on Fix TV Plus, they're more than welcome. Yeah. But it will be a whole restructure of the office organization, because right now they will have to do a lot if they basically go with the whole process.
Yeah, but the reason I had issues with keeping McDaniel at the time was more the perception that he has some sort of say. So for me, because the mentality was, people were saying when we did the 2 shows, is that with Chris Gear gone, you actually have another person who hasn't been there before, Champ Kelly, who's going to be in charge of the trade deadline. And I'm sure you're going to want to talk about it, but I believe that I would have preferred Greer because you didn't do much of it. In the end, we were happy with the trade that was made on Monday, but for the fact that they didn't do anything on Tuesday with certain players that they could have gotten rid of is part and parcel of why I want McDaniel gone. Because if you remember what McDaniel said in his press conference yesterday, and someone actually called Steve Malloy on Real Talk FinStanza called it, the person who was in charge, it wasn't just Champ Kelly involved. It was Brandon Shore, and it was Mike McDaniel.
I want to talk about that.
So, for me, the fact that Mike McDaniel had any say on the personnel of this team during the trade deadline for a 2-7 football team tells you exactly what's wrong with this football team. And it reaffirms to me what everyone has always thought, that Flores and McDaniel had more player personnel decisions than people think, and it wasn't only Chris Greer. So when people are banging the table, Tua got his contract, banging the table, let's trade Chubb for a first, banging the table, let's go get Mike White, banging the table, let's go get Zach Wilson, banging the table, I want Jalen Wright, banging the table, I want this guy. Mike McDaniel has just as much say as anybody else.
From I want to talk something you said from last season. Even last season on Fins TV, we had a discussion about the influence Brandon Shore had on Tua getting or not getting a deal. And, it was mind-boggling to me that they said that the decision-making on the trade deadline was made by, of course, the owner, the head coach, the interim GM, and the capologist, Brandon Shore, because, that to me was, I think I talked to that with Eddie. I'm like, I think the reason why the Dolphins being handcuffed this season basically was that, he said, last year we gave the contracts to everybody. That's my theory. It's on the theory. But we extended it as Ramsey, Waddle, whatever. Right now, this is the budget for the next year. You have to stick to the budget because if the capologist is there making the decisions, I only can hope that the only reason he's there is basically say you can't do this or the consequences of doing it. Because if they're going to buy a tight budget, Brandon Shores has any decision making, Eddie, the Dolphins are more than a problem that I even thought.
Yeah, he's not very good with the cap. They haven't been good with the cap since who used to help him. I think she works for the NFL now. Donna Ponte.
Donna Ponte.
Yes. Yeah, I think she was pretty good with the money, and they were always coming in mid-pack or whatever, or they had a ton of money to spend. But when I saw that, I was so mad that either guy had any say on the players being traded. It should have been on Champ Kelly and Champ Kelly only. He's the interim. I mean, I understand you don't know if he's going to be your GM next year. I've heard nothing but great things about him. Even how close he was to getting the Broncos job. That's from a Broncos.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that he's a great guy, and he might end up being our GM. But give him a chance. It's not like it's going to be anything worse. I mean, all right, fine. The Waddle thing, if they didn't meet your price, you keep him. He's young. His contract compared to other receivers, it's fine compared to other receivers. Some receivers aren't half as good as him, and they're making $20 million more. Chubb, I think they had a little trouble getting rid of him because he's a captain. And Chop Robinson was hurt. He has a concussion, I believe, and a shoulder injury. So I don't know where you were going to replace him with. Could have used some young guys, but what are you going to do? Lose games if you do trade Chubb? I guess nobody wanted Judon. I can see why. I don't
have it for free a couple of months ago. So
I know. I mean, Miami doesn't use him enough, if you ask me. But
yes,
Minka could have got you something. I mean, I feel sorry for him. They should have traded him to a contender. Yeah, when I saw that, I said Mike McDaniel should have no say in anything, and neither should Brandon Shore unless he's telling you, look, if we do this, it's really going to hurt us next year if we trade the guy now. That's all he should be doing. But yeah, I didn't like that little thing unless they were just saying that. But
McDaniel
as to the one point, the people banging the table, it still was Chris Greer's fault because he has final say. He could say, "Too bad. This is who we're getting."
But he's
this
a yes man. He's always been a yes man.
But he always, not just that, he always had, to me, that was his escape, how he's kept his job. So, well, this guy really wanted this guy, so I went with him. This isn't who I would have picked. I would have picked this guy. That's how I think he kept his job for that long.
Will make sense. Evan, what are your thoughts about what I just said? If you had the capologist inside the room, the budget guy, the money guy, that before I ask you some of the things, that really comes to you what you wanted to do.
Yeah, but also
it should have been the interim decision.
But if you look at the trade for Phillips, we actually ate some of the salary. So in order to get rid of him, right, we got a third. In order to get the third, we had to eat some of the salary, which is why they involved Brandon Shore because he had to do the math. But the problem I had with the trades was you don't need Phillips is done at the end of the year. You're not going to get anything for him.
Yes.
Minka, you need to re-sign him or you're going to have to get rid of him. So the Waddle thing, you went for more than 1+. The Broncos wanted him. I just wanted to have to build up the draft capital because in theory, I feel like the Dolphins are going to try a reset again. And that's what bothers me about it is because if you keep Waddle, you're going to have to pay Achane. You're going to have, if you have those kind of salaries on your offense, you're going to be trying to, you're not going to the stud. Jalen Wall's not starting again. So like for me, the fact that you didn't get rid of these guys, for me, I would have traded him for a first. Why? Because he's good, but I wanted a different mindset. Or if you would have hired an interim coach and you want to give a new coach or somebody else and you want to give them something to look forward to, great. But I believe a lot of the players that are still on this team is in Mike McDaniel's mind. He's convinced Stephen Ross that he could make a go of this next year. Again, if you give him the general manager that he likes, give him player personnel decisions, and I'm telling you this, if Mike McDaniel, if Tua, we're going to talk about it, but I'm still convinced that Tua Tagovailoa is Mike McDaniel's quarterback, and that's a problem for me. The fact that he still defends this kid and says he's nowhere near hitting the bench at 2-7 means to me he believes that Tua Tagovailoa is his quarterback for 2026 if he's back. And that's a problem for me. The only way you can get rid of Tua, Eddie, is if Mike McDaniel's not there. Because Mike McDaniel is tied to Tua Tagovailoa. And that's why at the beginning of the season and in the offseason, I said so many times for all the shows that I was on that the best thing for Mike McDaniel and Tua last season was to separate. Because I think Tua could be good, could resurrect himself again away from Mike McDaniel and away from the Dolphins. And I believe Mike McDaniel can resurrect himself again away from the Dolphins. I believe that they helped each other. One helped the guy gave him confidence. The other guy performed well in 2023. But 2024 was a perfect example that, you want to know what? One helped one in 2022. The other one helped the other in 2023. They didn't look good in 2024. Could get away from each other. So for me, Mike McDaniel being here, the only reason I'm frustrated by that is because I have to listen to him. The players who are here actually have to continue to hear him talk and continue to take his tutelage. And I'm sorry, he ain't a head coach. So what are they learning from? Coaching, he still needs to coach Devon Achane. He still needs to coach Jalen Waddle. He still needs to coach Patrick Paul. He still needs to coach Tua. He's in Tua's ear. That's, I believe, a recipe for disaster. Like, nothing's going to get better here. And I believe, Eddie, what Sammy said, Mike McDaniel will not be fired this season. I've already come to the conclusion, because this is so Dolphins, that the Jets are going to tear it down, and we're going to look at Fernando Mendoza or Lenora Sellers for 10 years to be successful against us. Drake May has already established, I'm giving an example, players that we would want, that players like fans would want. You look, I know some people are not fans of certain players, but then you look at New England and what they're doing with Vrabel. Buffalo ain't going nowhere with Josh Allen and Sean McDermott. So we're next year, for the next 2 years, 3 years, we'll be in third place with a losing record. And in 3 years from now, there'll be 3 upper echelon teams in the AFC East, and we'll be bottom feeders. Because Mike McDaniel has convinced Steve Ross he could do this. So that's my frustration. My frustration with Mike McDaniel is Chris Greer, we know what he was. The problem with Mike McDaniel is that because he's a new toy for Steve Ross liked him. He considered him like a son. And like that's what bothers me. He's choosing loyalty to a one player. You know that famous line, you have to sacrifice one to save the many? He's sacrificing the many to save one. Because the coach, I don't know if you saw it, Eddie, today. I know it's lip service, but why is it that when Jalen Ramsey goes to Pittsburgh, he's the happiest guy in the world? Christian Wilkins, the league's happiest guy in the world. Jalen Phillips today, best decision ever, best day of my life. Like all these players that leave, yes, you do lip service, but all these veteran players, all these players, and by the way, Jalen Phillips says it's the best thing of his life. The guy could be cut at the end of the year. He's on a contract. But like the fact that people are getting away from Miami and think about it, people are happy to leave South Beach. People are happy to leave Miami, the A+ cafeteria, the A+ fitness center, the A+ building, the A+ weather, the A+ nightlife. Because in the end, they're here to play football, and the person that they go into looks like the substitute teacher. Like Sammy, it's like you never realize like you have your teacher, great teacher. Next thing you know, you walk in, and then the guy walks in, and you go, "That's my teacher. That's Mike McDaniel. He's your substitute teacher. He's the guy you bring in when you're on the list, and you don't know who the guy is, and then you just see his name. Cool name, Mike McDaniel. Come in, and then it's a beeb. Like honestly, what bothered me the most, and why I believe he should have been fired, and I'll tell you why. The moment, and it sounds stupid and it sounds facetious, but I know, Eddie, we talked about it before the game. Where was Jalen Wright Thursday night? You're a running offense in Atlanta, and then you don't bring a third running back to the game, and Ollie Gordon's out, and Ollie Gordon gets into a fight with Eric Stutzville. And then how is it that on 4th and 1, your team once again, you put Larry Borum on the field? Kendall Lamb is sitting on the bench. You put Larry Borum on the field, and he doesn't know he can't goes offside. And then the guy misses the field goal because he's rushed. And then on 4th and 2, yes, Tua needs to read the play. But the fact that you even had a lineup of Achane outspread on a fade, even if the fact that an Oompa Loompa is possibly in a fade, I don't care where he is. No 5'8" running back, gadget back should be in a fade. Ever. Fades are for guys who are 6'2" and taller. So for me, this guy is more and more I listen to him, he's actually going to turn the fan base against the team even more. Like, I don't want everyone to cancel their season tickets, but how many people do I know that have canceled their season tickets? It's not going to take long. The bags will be over. People are bringing paper bags on Sunday. People would go to the game next week, and if McDaniel was not there, and it would have been even Frank Smith, I don't care, Anthony Weaver, people would have gone in if they lost, and they would have traded Chubb, and they would have traded Minka, and they people would have understood if they lost by 30 or 40. It's 2019 all over again, but we'll accept it and we'll cheer for them as they can do the best they can. But Tua is going to be behind center. Mike McDaniel is going to be on the sideline. So the only difference between today's Sunday game and last Thursday's is there's no Jalen Phillips, and there's Chris Greer who's not on the field. That's it. Everything else is the same. So what exactly do we have to look forward to on Sunday except another ass whooping?
I don't know if Eddie remembers, but I've been calling Mike McDaniel a substitute teacher for years on Fins TV because, I've been saying that. I don't know if Eddie remembers. It's curious what you said because I was going to say, I mentioned to someone, I bit my tongue because Chris Greer was probably one of his assets. I think he was a better trader and dealer, doing that kind of stuff. So I think they would have done even better job trading stuff. On the other hand, I see reluctance from Chris Greer to probably trade someone, Jalen Phillips. Today they released I forgot the name of the tight end, the Tanner Connor. That Chris Greer would never would have
He
never.
should have been
released
released
that.
3 years ago.
Yeah, he should have been released a lot. But that's a Chris Greer project, so basically he's out. So those are the kind of things that that they happen now that Chris Greer is not there. So Eddie, uh, that's the kind of change they would expect. The trade deadline, people were frustrated, but you have to be honest. Bradley Chubb, what would come if someone offered a 7th-round pick for Bradley Chubb, who's the captain, would you trade Bradley Chubb for a 7th-round pick?
No.
I'm not sure I would have. So people say
You
no,
were getting a fifth. If you would have been
Kelly didn't trade anyone, but the league around the league, people knew that the Dolphins had to trade. So
Right.
the low offers were probably there. So I would not trade it Bradley Chubb for a 7th-round pick, maybe not even a 6th-round pick, when you can probably get something for him more during the offseason. Same with Fitzpatrick. Once the Cowboys, who are rumored to be the team that were on Fitzpatrick, did that huge trade, the market, basically was right for trade Fitzpatrick. But I think they can still Eddie can find a way to trade some of those players during the next offseason.
They can trade Minka in the offseason. I'm not too worried about that. That Denver was not going to part with a 1 for Waddle. And I wouldn't give him anything other. I would not have traded Waddle for anything other than a 1, just because of what you gave up for him. Like I said, you can now who else on that team is a good receiver? Don't tell me anybody, because there's not a single other receiver on there that does anything for me. Not one. And as for Evan's point on the Jets, stop drinking, buddy. They have already gone through this.
Oh, no, I don't think they're going to be better than us. What I'm saying.
No. What I'm saying is they've already had this. They already rebuilt this team like they did a couple years ago. They did the 5, got rid of everybody.
I know.
And
Doesn't matter.
I don't care who they get at quarterback. He'll be on another team like Sam Darnold playing for them in 3-4 years.
And Geno Smith.
By the way, just FYI, I want to apologize to Jalen Phillips' fiance on behalf of Jalen Phillips and his future baby, because the fact that he is engaged recently, a couple months ago, he posted on Instagram and he announced he's having a baby. The fact that he thinks being an Eagle, because trust me, they're going to boo him when that Vaseline sack that he couldn't get down Lamar Jackson, or the one he couldn't get Justin Herbert. If he does that once in Philly, they're going to be spitting on him. The fact that he's more excited to be an Eagle than to get engaged and have a baby. Jalen Phillips, you got your priorities out of whack, my guy. You got your priorities out of whack.
And if the thing that he cares is the spotlight for you, of course, the media spotlight on the trade, that he's now the new guy in town. I don't know if he cares about the social media stuff, but that's the thing he cares. That his mind is not in the right place. Let me tell you, because Philadelphia, like you said, they're gonna turn you just like that.
Ask Bryce Harper of the Philadelphia Phillies.
So many others. So many. Yes. Let's go. Reggie White left the Eagles at one point. Left Philadelphia at one point in time. So that's all you need to know. Went to Green Bay.
No, the only time I liked the Eagles was in the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg, with Vince Papale. That was the only good part of it.
I did like them when they beat New England. That was the only other time I liked.
Yes, absolutely. Evan, going forward, we had a conversation the other day about Tua. I think Eddie agrees with you. That's one of the reasons you're here. I don't want to leave the topic wide open, because I think Eddie agrees with you. So I want to put you in contact with someone who basically might share some of your thoughts. So Evan, you truly believe that the Dolphins basically should move on from Tua. I think they can find a trade partner, even if they eat some of the money. They should consider it for sure. I'm not sure they might find one during this offseason, but
they'll have to throw in a 2nd-round pick.
That's what Evan said. But it depends on the kind of money that the other team eats. That has to do a lot with it. So I want you both to have a conversation. Take me out the ledge on why will you basically cut Tua after this season and basically have a new record for cap hit by cutting Tua this season. Evan, the floor is yours. Please explain to the audience why you think that's the best idea.
For me, next season is a wash for me. If Mike McDaniel's here, Tua will be back. But in the mindset of a head coach, whenever you want to entice somebody to come to an organization, whether it's a general manager or a head coach, you have to give them the ability to create their own culture and their own structure and their own team. If you basically, unless it's a winning franchise that's been to the playoffs and is that coach is like John Gruden. John Gruden went to Tampa and took over a Tony Dungy team, and basically that was losing in the playoffs, and just gave it one little extra bit of push on the offensive side of the ball, and they won a Super Bowl. Things like that can happen. Tony Dungy went to Indianapolis with Peyton Manning, same thing. The Dolphins right now are basically in the middle, the worst possible spot. They're not at the bottom, they're not at the top, but they've wavered somewhere in the middle for most of their existence in the last 30 years. For me, a head coach is not going to show up again and want to work with Tua. Not going to happen. A general manager is going to want to come in and have to worry about that contract of Tua being affecting his organization and his culture, because the team is going to be his. Tua of 2022, if he was struggling now, no problem. Even maybe 2023. But 2024 Tua, and more especially 2025 Tua, and his inability to keep his mouth shut, the fact that he is the true captain of this team and can't lead, and the moment he became the true captain of this team, he became the leader in interceptions, doesn't realize he throws things in bunches, is not worried about his starting job. He doesn't seem to care when he makes mistakes. He laughs it off and goes to sit with Darrell Bevel. I got into the fight with Bobby and got a little bit with you that to see him sitting on the sidelines next year, if you want to try another quarterback, or if you're a head coach, there's no way they're going to start this guy unless he magically shows up and goes on a winning streak right now and beats Buffalo and does all these things and resurrects his career on his own, which we know isn't going to happen. He's a culture killer because there's no fire. He's not a dog. He doesn't lead. He doesn't read coverages properly. He can't throw the ball. He checks down. When we're on the 3-yard line, he checks it down 2 yards behind him to the 1-yard line and overthrows the receiver.
That was terrible.
Like everything he does is asinine, and so for me, Mike McDaniel or no Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa needs a fresh start. If he goes I made the joke on post game, the number one place where he could go to resurrect his career is the only place currently he cannot go, there where he could have success. And where is that? In the Twin Cities. Why can't he go to the Twin Cities? Because who's the defensive coordinator in the Twin Cities? So he cannot go to Minnesota and learn from Kevin O'Connell, because that's a dome team with a capable franchise with Justin Jefferson and other weapons. J.J. McCarthy's injured, and there's no other person they could throw him there. New Orleans, he would suck there too, because they're not going anywhere. And they have Tyler Shaw and they have Spencer Rattler. We'll see. He needs to go to a dome. Maybe they need a backup in. Maybe he takes over Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know, when Matthew Stafford retires. All I'm going to say is, for me, Tua Tagovailoa, whether it's 99 million or whether it's 82 million, you eat it. I even made the joke that I paid Tyreek Hill to come back versus Tua. If I had a choice, 35 million for Tyreek Hill or 56 million for Tua, I'll take Tua. I'll take Hill, even if Hill doesn't play. The problem I have with Tua Tagovailoa is the arrogance and the ineptitude for him to actually admit that he sucks right now. And what is he going to do to get better? Because for a guy that shows up 5 hours before the game and sits on the field with Darrell Bevel, the man does not get better. He's getting progressively worse. Since 2023, him and Mike McDaniel have progressively gotten worse. And I cannot expect any head coach, any general manager, even if I'm drafted as a quarterback, or if I'm a free agent quarterback that needs to just mull over. I don't want to be in a film room with Tua. Tua, to me, is a detriment. You know how, like, for example, I don't know if you guys remember the video when Jalen Ramsey was signed, and they had the video with X walking him through the state. I don't know if you ever saw that, where X greeted him at Hard Rock, and they took him for a tour. And they made it a motivational thing, and how great it's going to be that these two great corners get to be together. I'm not showing. I don't want to come to this team at Tua Tagovailoa. As a quarterback, I don't want Tua Tagovailoa up my sitting behind me. Tua Tagovailoa either going to be in front as the starting quarterback with Mike McDaniel, or it's going to be a new head or Mike McDaniel has to be gone. The only way Tua Tagovailoa is here is with Mike McDaniel. He can't be here if he's not here. And what they're going to do is they're going to make up an excuse. Oh, we won 5 games, 6 games. We got rid of Chris Greer. He was the problem. We're gonna go sign up. We're gonna have a good draft pick. We're gonna go sign some free agents. Wait, you don't have any cap space. Like, they can't get any better. So we might as well get worse next year and try with new guys and pick guys and actually get a good GM. Because also, no general man. I'll tell you right now, Tua Tagovailoa is here, and Mike McDaniel's here. Champ Kelly is your general manager, or maybe Brandon Shore. No one's gonna want this job.
Eddie, I do believe that's what's going to happen. I'm going to call it now. I said it before the season when it wasn't popular. People were saying that Mike McDaniel was going to be fired. I said, expect him to be the coach the whole season. Now I'm calling the thing that I do believe Kelly's going to go back next year, and they're going to try to run it one more time with Tua and basically McDaniel for one more time. Eddie, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with basically Evan with FinStanza here that the Dolphins should rip it off right away and find a way to cut Tua this offseason?
Yes. They need to get rid of him. Tua is one of maybe 3 quarterbacks that can't make a play outside the pocket. We're talking about Kirk Cousins, and probably to some extent because of his age, Aaron Rodgers now is not as good as he used to be moving around outside. He has to move inside the pocket, kind of like Marino used to have to do. He's still good at it, but he can't run outside anymore. And that's it. The rest of the league can make a play moving out to your left, to your right, and throw in. Some guys can throw across their body, some can't, but they can still make a play. Tua cannot. That limits everything on that offense. I don't have the same opinion as Evan is that's who McDaniel wants as quarterback. I don't. I think he has to play him because of the money. He probably hopes Tua pulls a hamstring or something, so he could try something else. But that's just my thought. I don't think they're going to be able to get rid of him next year. Do they need to do whatever it takes to get rid of him? Absolutely. He needs to be off the team. I don't see him going anywhere and becoming the next Daniel Jones or Sam Darnold, because I don't think he has the tools to do it. If he had a great arm and could sit in the pocket and throw the ball, yeah, okay. But he doesn't even have that. And now, for some reason, he's scared of everything. I mean, there was nobody around him in the pocket, and he went down. There was a point he could have ran. There was nobody in front of him against the Ravens, and he threw the ball into the ground for intentional grounding, I think.
He didn't know it was intentional grounding. He didn't even realize where he was.
Well, he needs to.
He doesn't.
It's I don't know. He just doesn't need to be on the Dolphins. He can go somewhere else and be great if he wants to. I don't care. I just don't want him on the team anymore. As for McDaniel, I still think he'll get fired at the end of the year. And if Champ Kelly's the general manager, we'd have to wait and see. We can't just throw him under the bus yet and say he's not good. I mean, he's pretty hot.
McDaniel personnel decisions. And that's what I'm concerned about, is that one of the guys that I do a show with is convinced that Steve Ross wants to give Mike McDaniel a shot at having the control. Full control of player personnel. Not
that much.
They gave that to Adam Gase once. And by the way, I don't know if you knew about the stat, because we were talking about Tua, because it's obviously going to happen this season. This year will be Tua's first time ever since high school. Ever. High school, college, pro. He'll finish a season with a losing record. Because all the other years last year when we had a losing record, or when he was a starter in 2019, he always had winning records for the games that he actually got. He was the quarterback of record. Going back to high school, he's never had a losing record. And his worst year has been this year by a mile, because he's the so-called de facto leader. And by the way, let me ask you, I want to ask you both. We're 2-7. Are we not 2-7 if Tyreek is here? Do we have 1 or 2 more wins if Tyreek is here?
Yes. Yes, because the game was so close. I think they probably could have won. Okay. Probably could have won the Patriots game. I think they could have won the Patriots
Oh,
game.
wasn't he there for
Still,
the Patriots? No, he was
yeah,
there.
but that I still believe that could have won the game. So they will
Or
have
no, the Carolina game, maybe.
the Carolina game.
The Chargers game.
I'd have scored.
The Charger game for sure. The Charger game for sure, because that
Which
defense.
is why I'm saying, and I know neither of you asked this. If you had a choice, you find a way to trade to Sammy. If you have if you had the ability to trade Tua, not cut him, trade him, and eat some of his salary, and have to eat 35 million or 40 million to have some of his salary, and keep Tyreek, and not have to and eat and pay Tyreek 40 million. I'd pay Tyreek. Tyreek gives you a better chance to win.
What percentage of Tyreek I'm getting?
I would take 75% Tyreek over 200% of Tua.
Well, 200% of Tua we don't have. I would love to have 200% of Tua.
My point
That would love to have.
100% of Tua to any team is not 50% of Tyreek. Tyreek changed. Like Chris Perkins always liked to say, this offense was Tyreek Hill and the threat of Tyreek Hill. You take away the threat of Tyreek Hill, now it's a threat of Achane. Achane is not Tyreek Hill.
No, for sure it's not.
Tyreek Hill has won us football games. You go back to that game where everyone keeps on referring back to has won us football games. When we won that game against the Ravens back in week 2 of 2022, you happen to realize the guy who he was throwing the touchdowns to, how open he was? That wasn't Tua. That was Tyreek. That wasn't Tua. Sammy, you, me, Eddie, anyone can make if someone's open, you're going to make that throw. I'm sorry. You didn't make a 50-50 throw. You don't need to be put in the right spot. If you ever notice, go back and watch those games. Tyreek has to stop because it was going to be underthrown. That's how open he was. So Tua's never really truly won us a football game. And every time this season he's had the chance, he's crapped the bed again. For me, as much as people don't like Chris Greer, Tua's as much as the problem, and so is McDaniel. They're a three-headed monster going back to 2022. They're tied at the hip. You can't keep one and expect it to overcome. Until you get rid of all three, we will go a year over year. We're going to be a team that wins anywhere between 4 and 8 games, and that's it. We're not going to be better than that. We're not going to make the playoffs. We're not going to be talked about. The season tickets are going. The stadium's going to be empty. Because, by the way, if they don't fire Mike McDaniel and they don't significantly improve the team, people aren't going to show up next year. If you get rid of people, if you get rid of Mike McDaniel and Tua, and you show that you're developing new players and bringing on new exciting players and a new quarterback and a new wide receiver and new this, people are going to show up and be motivated for the team. Because right now, the problem always was that why people are so angry is that the rebuild failed because of the fact that 2023 was your opportunity. Last year, you failed again. Then players wanted to leave in Ramsey and Campbell and then Armstead. And now your team is way worse. We all could have predicted this. And you're 2-7. So how can you justify to a fan base that a team already after 9 games with 7 losses that you're like, there's no way Zach Taylor surviving his job. Also, the problem for me is by keeping McDaniel to the end of the year, you're losing your opportunity to see what else is out there, right? You're losing your opportunity because someone might fire somebody and snag someone you might like. For me, I believe what Ross is doing, what he always does, is he's waiting too long. Because last year, I would have fired them. I once mentioned this for the sport of hockey in Montreal. There was a coach who was doing similar to Mike McDaniel. When another coach got fired, who was a successful championship coach, they fired the coach to go get that coach. Last year, when we were going in that losing streak and they were 2-6, I would have fired Mike McDaniel and hired Mike Vrabel. Like, you don't, when a great coach, how weirdly enough is it that now the Patriots are good with a good defense, change of mindset, no Bill Belichick, who they turned off after 25 years, and Drake May now has a coach who's a good football coach. How weird is that? How weird is that? How funny is it that the Patriots sucked for 2-3 years and now they're ahead of us again? We were on the upswing, they were on the downswing, and they got back before we did.
You just gotta get the right coach. You gotta get the right quarterback. If you
Exactly,
don't
but
do,
but Steve Ross actually thinks he has the right coach. That's the crazy. Tell me what he's proven. Um, by the way, there's a
but
limitation on how many ums you're allowed to say in the span of a sentence. You and
it
I
should
are.
it should be a torture just to be under that headset with two over there. I know Adrian loves to the term permacast, but to listen to my dad under that helmet should not be lots of fun. Before we go to the next segment about the Bills, we're running a little bit late. Uh, I'm kind of worried that, like I said, if you had a president who basically can go to Stephen Ross and say this is not working, we have to move on. We might have a chance, but I don't see Tom Garfinkel as the guy who's going to do that. Let's see if we can go talk a little bit about the Bills. Here we go. It happened again, Evan. It happened again, but we are
Don't
over
worry
here.
about it.
Tough times on FinStation because she, the Dolphins basically right now is going to be a sea of blue, an ocean of blue in Hard Rock Stadium because those Bills fans travel really, really well, so you can spend a lot of Bills fans on Hard Rock Stadium for that game against the Bills. If you go to how they compare, you had the Dolphins with the 27th ranked offense and the Bills, the number one ranked offense at this moment. Passing offense, Bills 14, the Dolphins 23. But we go with the defense. The defense, I would have expected the defense of the Bills defense to be a little better. 12th for the Bills, 24th for the Dolphins. The passing defense number 2, 10th for the Dolphins, and the 28th running defense for the Bills, the 30th for the Dolphins. That'll tell you a lot. The Dolphins better carry 3 running backs this time, like you said, Evan, because they had to find a way to run the ball to have a chance to keep Josh Allen away from the field. What are your thoughts on how they compare against the Bills on Sunday?
Weirdly enough, what's crazy about this game? People are going to have hope. Because if you look at the last few times the Dolphins have played the Bills, we sort of play well for the first quarter and a half, and people get hope.
Yes.
And
They
then
keep teasing.
they're teasing us. And then
Yes.
kaboom. That's what's going to happen again. Because Achamp's going to go off a little bit. Waddle's going to have a good game. Tua's going to look good. And then all of a sudden, they're going to make one mistake. They're going to take a stupid penalty. They're going to throw a poor interception. They're going to fumble a football. It's going to be like a 3 to 7 point game. Then it's going to swing. And what's going to happen is the Dolphins are going to win the toss. They'll probably get 3. They'll maybe get 3 points. Then the Bills are going to get 7. Then we're going to get 3. Then they're going to get 3. Then we're going to come close, and then it's going to go back. Then we're going to make a mistake, and the Bills are going to score before halftime because McDaniel will leave time on the clock for Josh Allen. Then they're going to come out and have a 10 to 14 point swing heading into the third quarter, and then it'll be over. That's what's going to happen in this, and then it's going to explode. And then the booing is going to happen. People are going to start. It's going to start. This is what's going to happen. The Dolphins are going to, see, we had to know all the people, all the 2 in the years. We didn't have to trade anybody. Things are okay. We're going to beat the Bills. Everything's going to look great. No. That's the problem with this team. They tease you until they destroy you. Because like Eddie said, we were in the red zone beyond the 30-yard line. How many times against the Ravens? 6. And how many points did we score? 6. That's the Dolphins for you. Because what it used to be, Sammy and Eddie, is we used to be a run and gun offense. So we used to be able to not use any time on the clock and then score points. Now we kill the clock by doing these long drives because Tua can't throw the ball more than 4 yards. And then we fumble the ball. Or then we take a stupid penalty. So we do these 7-minute drives, 15-yard penalty, field goal. Or we go 20 yards, stupid penalty, punt. Oh, we missed a guy on 4th down. That's what happens. So for me, the Buffalo game is something where I'm not worried about the first half. Whatever happens in the first half happens in the first half. it's going to be the third and fourth quarter where the Dolphins literally just basically dolphin.
Anyway, you see how they compare. That the thing that sticks out is that the Bills' run defense, 28th, basically. I don't know, 4 more yards per game than the Dolphins did. That doesn't bode well for a team that considers themselves a Super Bowl team. I'm saying they're a bad team, but you need to stop the run. So the Dolphins might have the chance to slow them down if they kind of find a way to run the ball on Sunday.
Well, they need to be able to run the ball. And I don't know. I mean, that play, when he yelled at Ollie Gordon, we need more coaches like that. Because it wasn't the fact he was mad at him for doing a leg whip, which never happened, by the way.
No, absolutely.
Oh, that never happened.
But that's not what he was yelling. He missed the assignment on the block. That's what happened on that play. And that's why he's a rookie. And that's why when people say he should be in there more. Well, sometimes these rookies don't know how to block. It's on other teams too. The Bills' defense is not that good. I'd like to say they played well against the Chiefs, but the Chiefs just looked like ass last week. They had one bad game. It happens.
Don't they always do the regular season against the Bills?
Every time the Bills have beaten them in the regular season, the Chiefs beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, that's true.
It'll happen again if the Chiefs make the playoffs, which they probably will. But I don't know. Miami usually plays Buffalo good in Buffalo and gets their ass handed to them in Miami. I expect the same thing this time, even with the bad Buffalo defense, and they have no receivers, but they have 3 tight ends that'll probably each have 100 yards against us. Dawson Knox always kills us for some reason. James Cook, he'll probably have another 200-yard game against us. So, there's our good injury report. That's better. It was scary a couple weeks ago when there was nobody on it. Now that's better.
That's up to par.
Don't you love the fact that the guy, our best corner, did not practice?
Oh yeah, he's not playing.
Rasul's been good.
Yes, very.
Rasul has been. I would have expected a team. Let me put you this hypothetical since we're talking about Rasul Douglas. I would rather trade a 6th-round pick for Rasul Douglas than 2 first-round picks for Gardner. What are your thoughts?
Yes.
That's going to go down as one of the craziest, stupidest trades in NFL history because he's not the player he used to be. Let's go a little bit to the
Jets got more report. The Jets got more picks for Sauce Gardner than he gave the Jets in his career there.
They basically got the same that they got for Dollar Rivas. It's just crazy. Yeah. There's he's not even close. Let's go to the Euro. Rasul Douglas did not practice these characters. Chubb Robinson, that concussion seems like it's gonna take him a while. Lab Bradley Chubb limited, Austin Davis, Ollie Gordon, Julian Hill. Who would have thought the days that we'll be here where we actually miss Julian Hill? He's crazy now. He's limited.
Where's Liam?
Zach Sealer, probably in Cancun. Zach Sealer in the injury report, and Mika Fitzpatrick full participation. Ingold, Trader, and Jalen Waddle. For the Bills, basically the usual suspects. The Bills usually had a lot of players on the injury report, but once on Sunday, everybody plays. So I'm not surprised about that. And the weather, the important overall factor is the weather will not be a factor. So the league made sure that the Dolphins the Bills play on Miami on October, basically in November, when the weather is not a factor. Isn't that nice, Eddie?
It's too bad it wasn't on Tuesday because they're predicting falling iguanas in Miami on Tuesday. They could have maybe fallen on Josh Allen's head. Absolutely. They're supposed to be falling out of the trees.
All I can tell you is, what do you both think that Steve Ross? I could just picture. Watch this. This is going to happen. The Jalen Waddle is going to score the first touchdown on a really great play, and then where's Steve Ross? Steve Ross is going to do the waddle, this stupid waddle, and I go, why for a 2-7? Like, there's nothing. I'm telling you, what are we cheering for? A victory? Of course I wanted to win, but what do we gain? But think about this, guys. The more games we win, the more likelihood that you get Champ Kelly, Tua Tagovailoa, in Mike McDaniel in 2026. That's all that it does. The more successful they are, the more chance you have Tua, McDaniel, and Champ Kelly. I'm gonna a recipe for success.
I'm gonna make this deal with you. They beat the Bills and they can lose every other single game during the season. How about that?
Can they win against the Patriots too? Because I'm tired of hearing they're good.
in New England,
no, they're not. Atlanta missed the extra point.
I'm not gonna say that the Patriots are not a good team, but do you remember how many times the media said how the Dolphins had not beaten anyone because the record of the teams they had beating, they blah blah blah. No one has said that about the Bills, and that schedule for the Bills is probably the best schedule remaining because that's a cupcake. Schedule, Evan. You know, they're gonna probably run the table if they really want to, because that schedule for the Patriots is just trash. So,
oh, by the way, is it going to be a Hawaiian Fest in Madrid?
What do you mean Hawaiian Fest?
Jaden Daniels is not going to be playing in Madrid.
Isn't
Mariota the backup?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, BFFs, aren't they good friends? It's gonna be Hawaiian Fest. They're gonna be all the hula dancers are gonna be out there. Like, by the way, this is what they're gonna happen. Imagine they beat the Bills. Well, everyone's gonna wait. They could beat the Commanders. No Jaden Daniels. Wait, they could beat the Saints because of Tyler Shaw. Wait,
I do believe they could be the Saints.
They're gonna be 5-7. There's still a chance. Like, that's what they're saying. People are in this mindset. If you look at their schedule, that they can win 4 in a row.
I'll be honest. That would be hilarious if the Dolphins are 5-7. You can see that Sunday Night Football in the hunt with the Dolphins are 5-7 after all this. That would be just absolutely hilarious.
They couldn't even beat the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, but now they got rid of they got rid of their worst player, Eddie. They got rid of their general manager.
They got rid of Tanner Conn.
Tackle. Can you just imagine? They're going into East because in their mind, they believe they could go. If they beat the Bills, they believe that they could go and then beat the Commanders, beat the Saints at home, beat the Jets on the road, and be 6-7 going into Pittsburgh. That's how obtuse this team is. If they beat the Bills,
I'm
telling you, that's what's going to happen. If they beat the Bills one way or another on Sunday, that's what Twitter is going to be. Oh my God! All the 2 years. Oh my God! They're going back. They're going 9-7 because the only game. Oh, the Steelers. Why? Like, they can beat the Steelers. Wait, the snow. Wait, they can beat Joe Burrow's not going to be back. The Bengals have lost to the Jets, and they blew it again. The worst defense in the world. They got rid of Logan Wilson. They're not good anymore. They're quitting. No, and wait. So basically, until December 28th, what they don't realize is as much as they can win, right? They're not going to beat Pittsburgh on the road. That's 8 losses. They're not being the Buccaneers on Christmas Day. Christmas. The Buccaneers are just too good. That's 9 losses. And the Patriots, when they are going to be fighting for a playoff spot or see where they're at, that's 10 losses. The most they can get is 7. So that's what to happen. That's what people are going to say. People are going to get this whole jump if they beat the Bills. They probably won't. But for our sake, they're probably going.
That was my next question.
Watch, they're going to go. And then people are going to get this hopium. But they have to look. Everyone says, look at one game at a time. It's very clear. They ain't winning in Pittsburgh in the snow, and they ain't beating Tampa, and they ain't beating New England in January. So it doesn't matter. There's 10 losses on the schedule before they even try to do this. So it's irrelevant. So basically, they're going to win the next 5, then lose 3 of the last 4. So Mike McDaniel once again will fail because he won 5 in a row. Congratulate, then you lose 3 or 4. So, like, the point is that what are we waiting for exactly?
Oh, your premise had only one huge flaw. It's based on beating the Bills. So that's going to be the next question. Do they beat the Bills on Sunday, Evan?
Do they beat the Bills on Sunday? Hell no. Hell no.
See,
Hell no.
There goes everything.
No, because Tua Tagovailoa, it sounds crazy. The only way they win this football game is Devon Achane has to run, Ollie Gordon have to run 45 times if Ollie Gordon plays, or Jalen Wright. I want them to literally run the ball 45 times. Run the ball, kill the clock, less time for Josh Allen, and then sprinkle. By the way, it has to be a low-scoring game. If the Dolphins need to win a game 19-17. They can't win. The moment, I'm telling you right now, the moment the Bills cross the 20-point threshold, the Dolphins lose. The moment the Bills pass the 20-point threshold at any point in this game, even if the Dolphins surpass them already, the moment it gets to three touchdowns or more,
that makes complete sense. So the question is, the next week has to be, when are they? What do you have them break it down? First quarter, second quarter, third quarter. What do you have them break it down?
I believe it's going to be a very close game heading into the half, and the Dolphins are going to make a mistake leading into the half. Then it will be
the injury.
Go from a 3 to a 7. It's either going to be a 3 or 7 point lead for the Bills heading into the half, as a result of the Dolphins making a mistake that allowed the Bills to get those 3 or 7 points leading into the half. And then the Bills are going to get the ball heading into the half, and are they going to extend it to 10 or 14? Because I could see it being like a 13-10, 17-14 half, and then literally, we were so close, and then it's going to be 21. But I see this as, if you want my prediction yet, are we doing predictions?
Yes, please go.
Prediction. I see this being a 35-17 Bills win.
You had the Dolphins scoring 2 touchdowns. That's just beautiful.
I know. I have Devon Achane scoring 2 touchdowns. Because I'm telling you this right now. I'll put this right now. If we took Devon Achane off the field, we'd be shut out of every game. We wouldn't score a point.
That I cannot debate that with you. But
we wouldn't score a point.
It looks very plausible for sure. Anyway, your thoughts? Who you have winning on Sunday? I don't have to ask you, but I think that I think I know what you're thinking. Who you think wins on Sunday?
I think Miami's going to score 21 points in the first half, and then lose by 20.
Oh wow! So that basically what?
42-21.
42-21. No, 42-20 because of missed extra point.
Yeah, you just be humbled, Yeah, that makes sense for point.
I think they're going to start out with ball of fire, and then they're going to make their good patented halftime adjustments they always do.
I would love for my dad to do halftime adjustments. That would be a first, Eddie.
No, but hello, the Cleveland.
Yeah, they do.
Remember the Kansas City game? We're coming out of the half. In the third coldest game, we're coming out of the half. We need to establish the run. Let's throw the ball 3 times. It's minus 20 out. Let's throw the ball 3 times. Coming out of the half.
Yeah, my dad always has things to say. Evan, we're past the 9 p.m. mark. I want to thank you for joining us here on Fins TV. 9 p.m. over here. I'm at Atlantic time, so it's 9:12 over here. So it's almost past it's almost my bedtime, bro.
Oh yeah,
where you are, but I'm in the Caribbean. It's 9:12 over here.
You don't believe in daylight savings, eh?
I believe it, but I've been begging for them to cancel daylight savings. So
I know they can't. They haven't canceled it for me. So for me, it's 8:11.
So exactly that if they. Yeah, I would love for that to change.
I'd love to cancel. I'd rather it be 9/11 right now.
No, absolutely. It should be 9/11 because that just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Where they can find you on social media, Evan, you're doing a great job everywhere.
At FinStanza on social media, wherever you want to find me. You'll find me on the pre-game show on FTSN, the post-game show on FTSN. You'll find me on Fins Talk Overtime, Real Talk Fins Talk. I'll jump on George Fins Faithful podcast. Wherever you catch me, whether I'm talking baseball or I'm talking football, whether I go crash at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, East Country Boys, because I have the secret passage code, you'll find me everywhere. Driving everywhere.
Everywhere but Fins TV, but you'll be at Fins TV.
I'm here, Fins TV Plus. I'm on the beach show. Okay, I'm on the beach show.
Okay. Eddie, I don't know what to tell you. This Sunday could be a massacre. Sometimes you have to do some sacrifices for things to change. So we have to wait and see. Any last thoughts before we leave, Eddie?
I don't know. I have a feeling it's either. I really don't have a feeling on this game, but I do think they're going to come out strong, and I don't put all the points on the defense either. By the way, I think Tua is going to throw a couple pick sixes against a terrible defense. because he likes to make the bad defenses look good. And then I think what's his face is playing it finally again. The guy that hurts everybody. That's not a good sign for Miami. The linebacker.
Since we're already late, let's go take a couple more minutes. I want you to answer that question from how both of you. So Greer's absence. Let's do it very quickly. So Greer's absence is gonna make them play better.
Yes.
No.
Evan.
No.
You know why? I'll tell you why. Because they need to look in the mirror and say, hey, this guy drafted me. This guy signed me here. And my sorry-ass play got him fired because of me. Look in the mirror and say, hey, this guy took a chance on me, and the way I play out on the field got this guy fired. That's what they need to do. Put some responsibility on these shit-ass players we have. And I ain't being nice. I don't care if they're good in the community. I don't care if they're good to fans. If you suck, you suck.
The president, the CEO, the head honcho of FinStanza Network. Don't worry, guys. Finn got rid of the.
That's right.
The Papa Shop basketball hoop out of the locker room. They will win on Sunday.
Going on a win streak.
We're going streaking.
Yep. Meet up at the quad.
Okay, what did that keyboard do?
I'm not using my keyboard. I have not used my keyboard the entire night. Not once did I use my keyboard.
Oh man, that's please, like Lou said, Lou and Ashley doing a great job.
But I will tell you, it won't make them play better because in the end, only one person can allow a team to play better, and that's a coach. And they don't have one coach on that sideline that knows what the F they're doing.
Of course, Adrian, a former Tua believer, now, basically a Tua hater. Tua 2 plus INTs. What are your thoughts? Do you think they has 2 plus INTs on Sunday?
Absolutely.
No, 1 fumble, 1 INT.
Couple strips, couple fall downs because somebody's within 85 feet of him. He'll just fall on the ground and throw the ball away.
The man runs away before the guy even. He runs away from the pocket before the D lineman is past the line of scrimmage.
I think I agree with Hal 9000 100%. Once the opponent gets 10-point lead, it's bunches time, and that's what happens. Once they start trailing, the INTs are coming. Our friend Steve Malloy, love Steve, thank you for joining us. He had the 27-23 Bills. I think that's,
Well, why are you being so nice to them, Steve? Steve, you're too nice.
Yeah, I know you're realistic. I get that. I appreciate you all being there. So many people in the chat. Over 400 watching all platforms. I really 420 watching all platforms. I really appreciate it. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see if the Dolphins find a way to have a miracle. We'll laugh about it next week on Fins TV and Fins TV Plus. So, Evan, it's been great. Hopefully, we'll see you before the season's over on Fins TV.
I'm going to see you on Sunday, Sammy.
Yeah, but on Fins TV, hopefully, we'll see you.
I know, but I'm going to see you Sunday.
I guess I have to. I made a pact. You made a pact. So I'm gonna be there with you and Bobby, of course, on Sunday. Don't expect me for the post game because with that change of time, I'm not gonna be there.
What do you mean? What change of time?
It's an hour later for me, and you guys go over.
Then we go early. Then we can go earlier.
No. You mean for the pregame? Yes. For the post game, I'll be sleeping while you're still doing the post game because you usually end up by 10, and by 10 already knocked out. All me is already knocked out.
We'll see. Maybe we'll start a bit earlier.
Eddie, my brother, I love you. We'll talk again next week.
Bobby eats dinner when you go to sleep.
Bobby. Obviously, Bobby's not in the chat because if not, who would have defended? He said, Nick has something I want to stress it. Once the offense shuts down, then comes the defense. Good example of the Ravens game. Thoughts?
But the Ravens, the defense quits when the offense quits. The defense tries to keep the offense in the game.
They do.
And the moment that's what happened in the third quarter. I said this on post game, and you reaffirmed it, Eddie. The third quarter, the defense gave up because they go, we're giving the offense a chance to win this game, and they keep on poo-pooing it. Why should we try anymore for this bum?
I do want to say one thing before we go. I think, as much crap as we gave him at the beginning of the year, I think Anthony Weaver has adjusted quite well to what he has to work with. That is not a very good roster.
And he has less to work with than McDaniel. A lot less.
Very much so. And I think he's done a good job. I mean, they've had multiple different corners having to play. These guys are not winning their matches up front. He's having to blitz to get pressure when the whole defense was supposed to be predicated on 4 of them guys getting pressure on their own. I made a mistake about Weaver. I just wanted to apologize. I think he did make some good adjustments, and the rookies are starting to play a little bit better now.
Actually, I think Weaver defense is more disciplined. You can see them, they're not as stupid at the offense, because the offense sometimes they lose chaotic. So I would love for Anthony. The only good thing about Mike Daniel staying is that if Weaver gets a head coaching job, the Dolphins get 2/3. Nick said something, and I don't want to leave him out. He says, first time hearing anything positive about Weaver. I completely agree with everyone who hates on him, but I think he's a leader and a good coach. I agree. I think, like Eddie said, considering what he has to work with, I think he's done an okay job.
He's somebody that might actually be a better head coach than a defensive coordinator.
100% right. I agree with that.
He might be a Campbell type coach.
If McDaniel had the moxie, the character, the leader of men attributes that Weaver had, he might have a good coach, but that's probably just he doesn't. Evan, again, thank you for joining us. Eddie, love you as always. We'll see you next week on an episode on Fizz TV on FTSN.
Thanks for watching Fins TV. Please like and subscribe.
Miami Dolphins #1.
See you next week. Fins up.